Welcome to Bohemian Rhapsody. One of my very favorite papers to have in my collection is just standard white paper. I always feel that white is almost like a power color. You can just do so much with it and it can just make so much impact depending on the embellishments that you put with it. I've been working on just how to coordinate different papers together when you're doing a collection of gifts. So this is going to fit with another video that I've done. I will show you as they're all done. I'll bring them together so that you can see them. I had bought a little collection of different ribbons that were all color coordinated, and this is a great way to use small collections of ribbon for gift wrapping, and so this goes really well with the blue paper. So what I've decided to do, first of all, I'm going to just wrap and tie. I'm actually tying this one at the bottom. It wouldn't matter if you tied at the top or the bottom, but for this one I'm actually just going to tie it at the bottom. It will make more sense when I'm completely done, but for right now. So what I can do then is I can actually just kind of spread that out a little bit. I'm going to take this second piece. I love it. It's kind of almost like a woven kind of a pattern, really pretty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it around and I'm just going to tie it in the middle, but I'm not going to need much extra. I'm not making a bow or anything like that. I'm just kind of trying to create a look where I get 3 different strings. Just don't want to cut it off too short and then be disappointed that I'm wasting the remainder. And if you get a messy end, this kind of stuff kind of unravels a bit, so you might want to just trim it down. So there, in and of itself, it really doesn't have a lot of impact. So right now this is looking quite simple, but I actually already have a plan for how I'm going to kind of take this up a notch, and that's with another gift. So what I'm going to do is just set this one aside for a second. And I had pre-wrapped another one that was in the stripes. It's kind of a diagonal stripe. And what I want to do with this one is actually do a stacked look. So I love the idea of using the stripes with the plain white, but the ribbon just kind of tying it all together. So again, you could kind of, it doesn't matter which way you go. You could put it opposite, you could put it kind of this way. You have to kind of figure out what looks the best. But in this particular case, I have another coordinating kind of blue fabric or fabric ribbon that I wanted to use. And so what I'm going to do is just take this and slide it underneath. So because I'm stacking on another ribbon, you're definitely going to want to make sure, if I put it this way, this is obviously going to cover this up. So in this particular case, I want this ribbon to be sitting across from it. And all I'm going to do with this is make sure that it's fairly even before I start. And again, it's a wired ribbon. And in most cases, you don't need the presents to be super connected or make sure that they're tied in there really well. It's usually just going to sit on a gift table or be handed directly to the person that you're giving to. So it's not usually an issue of worrying that the presents are going to get, they're not going to be connected and they won't know that they belong together. So I don't worry about that too much. And then, like always, when it's that wired ribbon, you can just pull and play with it, and this kind of has a back side to it, so you want to make sure that that top side is showing. And again, you can just kind of play with it. I like the idea of this sticking out a little bit, so you might want to kind of find the ends for that and see if you can get them sticking out and make this top ribbon sit the opposite direction. And I always like to kind of play with my bows until they're, doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like them to be similar in size if I can. And so this one is just looking a little bit bigger on that side. Sometimes it means retying, but in lots of cases you can just kind of play with it to get it the way that you want it. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good. And you can see I don't really have to add much else to it because this extra little bit of ribbon that I already put on the white does already add a little bit extra to it. I do have these little tags that I bought for scrapbooking at one time, and what I love is just that they have a solid kind of a solid section of color, and I don't know what they're made of, maybe almost like a vellum. And what I like about them is that you can just add them on. Now you could definitely use a white kind of a chalk writer, and you could make this your tag. But sometimes I like the idea of just adding an element of decoration without it actually being the tag, and then having a card to go with. So anyway, I love the way these two gifts come together. And if you remember back to my previous video with this little gift, this one here was just, it had a little knot on the top, but you can see how all of the papers are coordinated. And if you were to present these together, you get a really nice little look. Now you could actually, if you preferred, and if your ribbon is long enough, now I didn't kind of pre-cut this according to this being extra tall, but you could in fact take your ribbon, and you could actually tie all three of them together. I think this is actually going to be long enough to do a bow that will fit. And then you can just combine all of those different ribbons. So that I guess the possibilities are really endless. Like, you can still incorporate the other ribbon, and just a matter of playing with it to get the look that you like when you're stacking up all those different elements. But when it's finished, however you choose to do that, you can see how just drawing together those different patterns, different textures, different colors just creates a really beautiful looking gift. And again, I would play with this a little bit more, maybe take this knot out if I was going to combine all of them. That wasn't really my original idea, but again, you can make a stack of 3 or just leave it with a stack of 2 and present them all together. But I think ultimately the look of having different patterns, connecting the colors but having different patterns, has more of an impact than if you just take that one roll of paper and roll all 3 gifts, wrap all 3 gifts with the same paper without creating that different look with the pattern. Simply by changing, I'm not going to put it back on there, but simply by changing the paper, you can create such an impact without even having all the embellishments and the ribbons. Just the fact that you've coordinated the paper really takes your gift and elevates it to the next level. So I hope that's given you some great ideas for how to present, how to coordinate gifts, and how to present gifts when you have more than one and multiples to create a really great look. Thank you for visiting, and hope to see you again. Have a great day.